Imagine a world where books are so rare and precious that only a handful of people can read them. A world where the written word is guarded like a secret, where ideas and knowledge are passed down through whispers and memory instead of pages and ink. This might sound like a dystopian novel, but it was the reality for much of the world, especially in the Islamic world for centuries. The story of how the printing press, a revolutionary invention that changed the course of history, struggled to gain acceptance in the Muslim world, is both fascinating and surprising. In the 13th century, Rashid ad-Din, a Grand Vizier of Persia under the Mongols, wrote about the Chinese method of printing books using carved wooden blocks. He described a system where learned scholars oversaw skilled calligraphers who would meticulously carve the text of important books into wooden blocks. When someone needed a copy of a book, they would pay a fee, and the blocks would be pressed onto paper, creating a perfect replica. This method, which Rashid ad-Din called on-demand publishing, was incredibly efficient and ensured that the text remained accurate and reliable. However, despite his detailed knowledge of this advanced technology, Rashid ad-Din never considered using it to print his own works. Instead, he left funds in his will to pay scribes to hand copy his complete works every year, ensuring that there would be a set in every major mosque. This reluctance to embrace printing was not unique to Rashid ad-Din. Across the Muslim world, the resistance to the printing press was widespread and persistent. In the Turkish Empire, non-Muslim communities were allowed to use printing presses as early as the late 15th century, but Muslims themselves were hesitant. Sephardic Jews printed a Pentateuch with commentaries in 1494, and Armenians began printing their religious texts by 1568. The Greeks even printed a pamphlet attacking the Jews in 1627. By the end of the 16th century, Sultan Murad III allowed foreigners to import books, and Turkish city dwellers became familiar with printed materials. However, the Muslim community remained wary of the technology. The first Turkish printing press was established by Ibrahim Müteferrika, a Hungarian-born convert to Islam in 1727. Müteferrika, a diplomat and scholar, saw the potential of the printing press to spread knowledge and promote learning. He spent 8 years trying to secure the Sultan's permission to set up a press, and in 1726 he wrote a treatise called The Means of Printing to persuade the authorities. He argued that printed books could preserve the authentic text of the Quran and other important Muslim works, which had been destroyed during the Mongol invasions and the expulsion of the Moors from Spain. He believed that the printing press would help Islam resist European dominance and make the Turks leaders in the world of learning. Finally, in 1727, the Sultan granted Müteferrika an imperial edict allowing him to print books. However, there were strict limits. The calligraphers, who were threatened by the new technology, protested, and the Mufti, the highest religious authority, issued a religious permit that forbade the printing of the Quran, books of Quranic exegesis, books on theology, and books of law. Despite these restrictions, Müteferrika's press in Istanbul produced 12,500 copies of 17 different titles over the next 18 years. These included works on history, geography, astronomy, physics, mathematics, and translations from various languages. The press also produced the first illustrated book in Turkey, a manuscript work from 1583 about the newly discovered America. Müteferrika's press was a promising start, but it faced significant challenges. The calligraphers continued to resist, and when Müteferrika died in 1745, his presses stopped operating. It would be decades before printing would be revived in Turkey. Not until the mid-19th century, during the westernizing reforms known as the Tanzimat 1839-1876, did printed books become a significant part of Turkish life. In 1874, the Turkish government finally allowed the printing of the Quran, but only in Arabic. The story of printing in Egypt is similar. When Napoleon Bonaparte invaded Egypt in 1798, there were no printing presses in the country. News was spread by town criers and muezzins, and the first daily newspaper in the region, the Decade Egyptian, was published by Napoleon's presses. Napoleon brought printing machines from Italy and set up a press in Alexandria, where he printed his proclamations and administrative reports. He also established the Institut d'Egypte, a scientific and cultural institution that produced a wealth of research and publications. However, when Napoleon left Egypt, the presses were taken back to France, and the lack of a printing press posed significant obstacles to public education in Egypt. Muhammad Ali, who became the ruler of Egypt in 1811, recognized the importance of printing and education. He imported presses, secured paper and type from Italy, and found skilled workmen to operate them. By 1822, his press in Bulak, outside Cairo, was producing books, including an Italian-Arabic dictionary and textbooks for military and medical schools. However, the Islamic community's resistance to printing remained strong. Muhammad Ali managed to print an edition of the Quran in 1833, but after his death, his successor, Abbas Pasha, banned the use of printed copies. It was not until the reign of said Pasha in the 1850s that the ban was lifted, and the first official printed version of the Quran was published by the Egyptian government in 1925. The resistance to printing in the Islamic world was not just a matter of technological backwardness. There were deep cultural and religious reasons for this reluctance. The Arabic alphabet was difficult to adapt to printing, and there were fears that the printed word might not be as reliable as the handwritten word. Another significant concern was the potential for errors or blasphemy. The name of Allah, for example, was considered sacred, and there was a fear that it might be misprinted or defiled by the printing process. These fears were not unique to the Islamic world. Similar concerns were raised in Europe when the printing press was first introduced. Despite these challenges, the printing press eventually became a powerful force in the Muslim world. It helped spread knowledge, promote education, and modernize societies. Today, the Islamic world is home to a vibrant publishing industry, and printed books are a common part of everyday life. However, the journey from resistance to acceptance was long and difficult, and it serves as a reminder of the profound impact that technology can have on culture and society. The story of the printing press in the Islamic world is a testament to the power of human curiosity and the struggle to overcome cultural barriers. It shows that even the most revolutionary technologies can face significant resistance, and that progress often requires patience, perseverance, and a willingness to embrace change. In the end, the printing press not only transformed the way people accessed and shared knowledge, but also played a crucial role in shaping the modern world.